That's Tony Hancock in. Hancock's half hour.
Have you considered dying, Sid? Considered? No. Feeling like I'm dying? Yes. No. You're in the peak of physical health, Sid. But do you have or have you ever considered a funeral plan? Why? You started selling them or something? Yes, I've got a plan. I'm going to refuse to die. Oh, you've got to have one. Everyone's got one. It's only civilised, isn't it? In your case, you can't expect other people to throw good money after bad, can you? What's that supposed to mean? Are you trying to be insulting? Funerals are a lot of fuss about nothing, Hancock. I'm not going to be there, so why should I care? Dig an hole and chuck me in it. That's all very well, Sid, but who's going to dig the hole? I've got you there. The grave digger, of course. The geezer with a spade and a miserable boat race. Okay, but who's going to pay the grave digger, Sid? Touché. The vicar, of course. He hires the grave digger. One back at you. Okay, but who's going to pay the vicar? Touché again. You can. Game, set and match. Why should I pay for your funeral? You wouldn't pay for mine. No, I've got a couple of old body bags. You're going in one of them. It will only cost you 40 quid. I'll claim on your estate. You have got 40 knicker, haven't you, Sid? 40 quid. If that's all your funeral is going to cost, Hancock, I'll do it. We'll do one another's. You're not doing that. I don't want a cheap one. Pint of beer down the pub and a knees up round the piano. No, I want a decent send-off. Nothing too extravagant, mind. Just a teak coffin, pallbearers, a choir, a hearse with a couple of horses with black feathers on their heads. What, like Roddy Cray? That would cost a fortune. I'm not paying for that. You know what? I'll pay for the weight instead. Right, now you're talking. So that's 100 chicken in the baskets, prawn cocktail starters, 100 death by chocolate, 600 bottles of beer, wine for the ladies, and 100 bottles of champagne. No rubbish. Bollinger. They'll get fish and chips and like it. Anyway, what makes you think you'll have 100 people at your funeral? You know me, Sid. I don't like to blow my own trumpet. I'm quite popular, so more like 200 people. I'm a pillar of the community. Everyone knows me. They'll all be there. Mark my words, I bet you anything. Right, you're on. Who's going to be there? I'll make a list, so we're ready. 1. All my old working colleagues from East Cheam Police Station. Half of them are already dead, or they've emigrated to the Costa del Crime. I didn't know that. I'll have to revise my Christmas card list, Sid. What about Chalky White? He's in an old people's home on a ventilator. He took both his legs off with an overmower a couple of years ago. He can still come, can't he? We'll give him a straw and you can hold his pint. Then there's the Hancock dynasty, of course. They won't be coming. They think you're the black sheep of the family. How can I be the black sheep of the family? A fine, upstanding, unblemished, successful inspector of many years' service in the Metropolitan Police, and now manager of the highly respected Hancock's Heroes, the first private police force. That's the problem, ain't it? Most of your family are on the other side, aren't they? I think you're the black sheep of the family because they're all crooks. Some of them are still in prison, for God's sake. I suppose some of my family are a bit wayward. I was always a bit different. I used to doff my cap at passers-by and regularly got beaten up for it. Never mind, there's the lads down the East Cheam Arms. I can always rely on them, me mates. There's a problem there too. You remember the annual East Cheam Arms darts out into Margate? You were treasurer and lost the money. That wasn't my fault. It was in a jar on a bar. Some blinder hit it with a dart and it spilled all over the place. You've never seen 20 men on their knees stuffing coins in their pockets, have you? So they won't be turning up either, will they? Charming! Well, that brings us nicely to today's case. 2 men have been attending funerals and we want to know what they are up to. It's called funeral crashing, apparently. I suppose it could be a con, or they might be genuine. So we better investigate gently, Hancock. Quite, Sid. The velvet hand inside the iron fist. The police want us to stage a funeral and then catch them in the act. There's nobody here. It said 23, so I expect this must be it. It's a bit of a dump. Who's dead? Everybody, by the look of it. It says 23 railway cuttings. I expected a railway cutting at the very least. Who's the lucky fellow then?
It's Mr. Anthony Aloysius, St. John Hancock. Sounds posh, probably rolling in it. I hope he's put on a decent spread. I could eat a horse. I just can't stand mean dead people, can you?
Well, the deceased might have a posh name, but I think horse meat is about all you get to eat here if you're lucky. Is anybody at home? Is anybody there for Francis?
Oh, they're playing my favourite music. Well, that's cheered me up.
We'll wait here. Someone will be along in a minute. May I be of assistance?
Good morning. We're a couple of mourners and entertainers. We knew Mr. Hancock. God rest his soul. Well, we've come to say our last respects, haven't we? Last time we saw him, he looked a bit peaky, so we're not surprised. Is that him in the coffin over there? The undertakers have done a very nice job, brass handles and everything.
Yes, you wouldn't know he was dead, would you? But then he was a very good-looking man in life. Please come in, it's very sad, we'll all miss him. Mr. Hancock was a very fine man, pillar of the community, loved by everyone, salt of the earth. No one ever said a bad word about him, never upset anyone. Did you know he robbed the rich to give to the poor? Yes, all right, Hancock, you're laying it on a bit thick. Yes, that's exactly how we remember him. Wonderful man, giving, very giving he was. He'd give you the shirt off his back.
He never washed them. We're entertainers, you know we are. We've come to cheer everybody up, except for Mr. Hancock. It's a bit late for him, isn't it? But I bet he had a good sense of humour. Hang on, I've just thought of a poem.
Oh, God, spare us.
There was a man called Aloysius,
I hope this is not going to be rude, is it?
who by nature was very suspicious. He kept his money in a purse, but lost it in the hearse, and suddenly became quite vicious.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Hare. Ooh, that was a silly poem, wasn't it? Funny, we apologise profusely. I'm Mr. James of James and James and James Solicitors Limited. Well, I'm Mr. Burke and he's Mr. Hare, but Mr. Hancock knew us by completely different names. They're our stage names. He knew us before we started acting. We're a double act, you know. This is our speciality. Missus. So you're a couple of thespians, are you?
Well, you could say that, but I prefer the word actors, but each to their own. You've got to be careful nowadays. You don't want to be cancelled, do you? Like poor Mr. Hancock there, do we?
I hope you enjoyed the service. I thought it was very uplifting. Uplifting, yes. I think the poor vicar was on drugs. I thought he was going to raise the dead out of the coffins. Beam me up, Scotty, and all that. You know, the rapture, or was it rupture? I'm never sure.
Ah, it was lovely. It brought a tear to my eye, especially when that old lady ran over my foot with a wheelchair. I thought the choir were really good, especially the woman with the lazy eye. I thought she kept winking at me. Turns out she's eyeing up the vicar. Yes, silly cow.
Funny, I didn't notice the choir. I must have dozed off.
Yeah, she must have. They were very good, I can assure you. We're regulars at funerals. We know good choir when we hear one.
So, Mr. Burke, when did you and Mr. Eyre first meet? What is this, for heaven's sakes? 20 questions? I don't happen to have a calendar on me, I'm sorry. We have to make sure, Mr. Burke, we're dealing with a sizable sum of money here. The bequest, you know.
Money? How dare you? We're not here because of money. We knew him for yonks. We went to school together. We're entertainers.
Which school was it, out of interest? A boys' school? Borstal, I think. No, it was children, both sorts, you know.
Oh, you are forgetful. Mr. Burke, it was just around the corner. How could you forget silly Billy?
Only joking. I forget the name of the school. We used to play tag in the playground, didn't we? There you are. I've got a good memory. You had a playground. That doesn't surprise me. Which one of you was tag? Very funny. You'll be in that coffin in a minute. Are you in the funeral entertainment business as well?
No, wait a minute. I remember it was East Cheam Infants. He was a lot younger than us. I was 15, if I remember correctly. I was a late developer. I'm still developing, as it happens.
Whereas I was a property developer. That's right, it must be 40 years ago. You've both got good memories. Anyway, now I'd like to read the will.
Where's everyone else? He didn't have many friends, did he? Bit of a recluse. Billy no mates.
Oh, he wasn't. He had a huge number of friends as it happened. But they've all got coronavirus. It's not his fault. Look at his face in the coffin. You've upset him.
We were his friends. We liked him. He gave us sweets.
Yes, but you had to twist his arm though, didn't you? Or beat him up behind the tuck shop. Unfortunately, we've had to make some amendments to the will because most of the people have sadly passed away since it was written. Yes, how sad. That's more for us then. Only joking. Yes, that's a bit of an overstatement, isn't it? Francis loves you all. Here we go. This is the last will and testament of Mr. Anthony Aloysius St. John Hancock, of 23 railway cuttings, and late of the parish of East Cheam. What he's late for, I'm not sure. First, I would like to leave my house to...
No, we don't want that, thank you very much. We've seen it. Cost a fortune to do up, thanks for asking. Dreadful state of repairs, dreadful it is.
And I'll continue. To my first cousin, William Henry Howard Hancock. That's me as it happened, and I'm delighted. Thank you, Uncle Tony. In life, you were a wonderful man. Yeah, thank you. However, my remaining estate, including £300,000... How much? You wouldn't have guessed it, would you? Some people are like icebergs, 9/10 below the surface, aren't they? You wouldn't have thought he had two brass farthings to rub together. A couple of £100 would have done us, but seeing as you're offering... And I'll continue, I would like to leave to two old friends of mine.
That must be us, Mr. Burke. It's nice of him to remember us after all these years. Looking around, it can't be anyone else, can it?
And I'll continue, I would like to leave to two old friends of mine, Mrs. Leslie Jones and Miss Alice Thomas. Aha! So Tony's friends were ladies. So how do you explain that, Mr. Burke and Mr. Hare? It was a long time ago. We were ladies when Mr. Hancock knew us. And then we went into the entertainment business. We didn't used to dress up as men in those days in drag.
Back then, when we were ladies, we formed Happy Funerals Limited. It was 30 years ago. Now we go around all the funerals and make people laugh. It's a vocation.
So, that will be 200 nicker, thank you for cheering you two up. And look, even Mr. Hancock's smiling in his coffin, bless him.
Oh no, man. What are you doing? Television presents Tony Hancock in
Fouling to steal a diamond ring valued at 20.